It is 10:20 on Thursday, January 23rd. It's a little bit later than I normally be recording something, but I got caught up doing a little bit more work and had a little bit of a later workout. Before I talk about what I want to talk about today, I do kind of want to start being a little bit more involved within the screen, because right now I'm just having my icon light up and down, and I want to start visually showing more things, and those will take a little bit more time to set up, and as of right now I just don't have, well, more so today, I don't have a lot of time. And so there's some things I want to talk about, like music. I talked about writing 2 days ago, and I would have absolutely loved to go over some of my old essays and talk about them, because some of the essays that I wrote, I was actually really passionate about writing and explaining my the analysis of whatever book, or actually only book or movies. And I do want to talk about video games and the video game I'm planning on making. It's been a little bit difficult to start doing other things because, as I've said multiple times in the past couple of days, I'm having this application, and when I say that this one is a big deal, I essentially have spent the last 3 semesters working as hard as I possibly can to get this application. And so when I turn that in, I know what I'm going to talk about, because I'm a little bit afraid that once I turn that in, I will no longer have a drive to care about grades, because this is the thing that's been driving me personally. But we'll get there when we get there. And speaking of applications, I have said I have to write a CV, which I've completed, and a personal essay, and I've done essays and things, but I've found that I specifically struggle with talking about myself in, like, promoting myself, or, like, showing myself in the best light, because when you write a CV, you have to be like, one of my first jobs was I was a host at a local restaurant during the COVID years, one of the most stressful things I've ever been, but I have to, like, relate, and I worked for my town as, like, the second job while I was still, I think it was 8th grade or something, but, you have to make those sound like something, like, in the CV it was like, at this local restaurant, I greeted customers, took reservation, managed takeout orders, all while regarding COVID health regulations. It's like I had worked on teamwork and communication skills. I was working in a high-paced, full, like, busy restaurant environment. Like, to me it feels disingenuous. Like, explaining things, like, when I worked for the town that I'm in, I was like, I am would help out moving things around, doing some things, and I'll, like, mow lawns and work on some stuff on the town facilities. So, like, it was literally just, like, maintained town facilities and parks. Sounds a lot fancier than me just saying I mowed the lawns and made sure the trash was taken out. I hate doing that, because it feels inappropriate to me to be stretching the truth to a manner that is not what it is. Like, there are some things that I want to share. Like, I have a section where I talk about the coding languages that I've learned, and I'm like, processing, Java, Python, including the libraries of Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib. I learned VHDL, R, RStudio, and then I have a section about how I'm currently learning C# along with the Monogame and Unity video game engines. And I'm like, I feel fine about doing that because that's not a stretch. I have learned processing. I have learned Java. I've learned Python. Good at Python. Like, I've done VHDL. I built a basic CPU in VHDL. Like, I'm learning how to use average nearest neighbors and Poisson point processing model in R, and learning how to analyze data, spatial data from that. So it's like I feel perfectly fine doing that in a in one of those essays, or not in the essay, in my CV, because that makes sense. Like, that's what it is. Like, when I list my classes, my classes are what they are. There's no stretch to it. And like, maybe I'll say a robust network of high-level high school and college classes. But like, that's what they are. And I hate trying to prop myself up in a manner it's disingenuous. I'm like, really feel like I'm stretching the truth, and it feels wrong to me. And maybe I'll talk about this more in depth later, but I have I don't want to say a strong moral code, but you know those charts where it's like lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good. Like, and there's always those, I remember seeing, like, they always get rid of like lawful like chaotic. Is where you have that character has a strong moral code and abides by it to the letter of their code, and none of the players think it makes sense. And so I have a moral code and rules that I've bestowed upon myself that others wouldn't necessarily follow, I guess. Like, I don't like putting anything in my body that alters the way I act. Mainly that pertains to, of course, like normal drinking, other things. But I mainly just don't drink coffee. I refuse to drink coffee because then I don't want to artificially make myself be awake, because I know that alters me in a way that is not who I am. So I struggle enough with being okay with myself at the baseline. I don't want to change it in any way. And it's like other things, like I can never do a rolling stop. It feels wrong. It's against the law, technically. But like one of those rules is really to not lie to benefit yourself. Like, of course, there are times where I'm not going to tell the truth in situations where it is better to not reveal the truth and just kind of go on. Like, if my parents are like, remember to do this, and they'll ask me later, have you done this? I'll just say yes instead of saying, no, I'll do it right now. Because it's just like those type of things where it's like I don't know. But this is one of the things, like, I just can't do it. It feels totally wrong, and almost like the feeling of like you're kind of grossed out by what you just did. And that's what I get when I'm trying to prop myself up in this manner by saying things that are stretching the truth. And it's also, I feel like, when I try and sell myself, the people that have edited my like personal essays always say that I am always talking in more of a negative tone. And they try and change it, but I personally believe that for me to write my personal essay, it has to all come from me. I mean, that's the same philosophy when I code video games, is that I believe that most of it should come from me. Like, maybe I can never copy down a library and put it in. I have to learn on why it works and write it myself using it as a reference. But it's like, I remember there was a sentence in my Common App application, which I can't find. I have to figure out how to find that. But it was like, I was living with the fear of like being social with the never-ending urge to like be around people. It was a sentence that was not a happy sentence, because the whole essay was about my struggle with social anxiety and how summer camp and going to a boarding school helped it out and as making me optimistic about being out and doing things in the future. And that sentence was to drive the point home that that's who I was, that it was not a good thing, and that I was working on that. And you have to create a baseline of what it was. And I thought it was very powerful. And people are like, no, that's depressing. You shouldn't add that. I'm like, no, you don't understand the point of it. Is that you have it. This is what I feel like. I'm not going to stretch the truth or say something in here that I don't believe in, because this is what it is. And I find that if I write it in this manner, especially if I'm trying to like show who I am, then this is the way to do it. Also going on with like personal essays is that in every single interview or like ask, why do you want to come to this school? Either it be boarding school, college, or this application, I will never say because the classes are good. The the teachers, the whatever. Like I can say that some of the programs are an incentive. Like this college that I'm currently at, the program that they offer to a high-level institution while still being a high-level college itself, was a huge incentive for me. But classes were never an incentive. Teachers were never an incentive. It's the people and the place. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. When I was applying to boarding schools, the only thing that made it that I wanted to go there was a feeling that I literally put on some of the applications. I can't explain it, but I just feel better about this place. It feels more welcoming. It feels like I will thrive in this area. And it's all about that because, like, I guess, like, there's one college where classes was a big thing because it didn't offer a computer science major. It was only a minor. And that was a factor, but it's all about the people and the location and the vicinity to nature and all this. Like, will I ever be in a city? Absolutely not. I refuse to go to school in a city. So I go to schools where there's mountains nearby, where there's woods around. It's in local areas because that's what I want to be. I don't know, I feel like I'm talking about my application for this for too long, but it is on my mind a lot because this is important to me. I'm a little bit sorry that I'm talking about it so much, even though I think some of the topics are good to get out of my mind. I really want to talk about some other things later, a little bit more personal, maybe not. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. But tomorrow's the weekend, start of the weekend, I guess. I have no hockey games for a while. And only got one more week of application hell. So soon it will be over. Don't know what I'll do after that, but soon it'll be over. That's what I'm worried about. Because this has been an incentive to do well for so long that when it's over, I'm afraid that I'll start senior springing it to this because I'm done with this program. It's a little bit complicated, but this has been the drive to do well for so long. And maybe I have to think of it as instead of just this program, I need to think about of getting into a graduate program. Or something like that. But, I mean, we'll get there I already talked about this beginning of this, but we'll get there when we get there. Yeah. Tomorrow, do stuff, relax, play video games, see what happens.